Hi, today I'd like to start to show you the revamp of my staging yard. The switches weren't working very well. I couldn't back through them and they needed to be changed. I decided to go with number 6s and I found a guy who wanted to build fast track switches for me. It involved splicing code 100 Atlas track with code 83 micro engineering track that the fast track switches were built from. This will be a video of the process. An awful lot of it was done in situ. I might insert a few words along the way, but this is what it's all about. I'm going to try something a little bit different today. I've got this demonstration set up on my other workbench. The thing I want to do today is to see if I can solder this track together for you people. I've taken and cleaned the soldering tip in the brass wool. I'm going to take just a little bit of Chip Quick. On the end of my applicator, just set ever so little bit right there. I've taken time to line this track. It should be pretty stable. If I'm lucky, what I'll be able to do is just warm that up. Make a good solder joint there. That's all there was to it. Carefully move this. Take a little bit more Chip Quick. Just spread it on that joint nicely, quickly, and easily. Take another little bit of solder, and this is the 20,000 solder that I like so much. Now we're going to try the same thing from a little bit different angle, so that you people can see what's happening. Again, just a taste of Chip Quick, not a lot. Put it on the rail. Add the solder, just enough to set in there. That's all it takes. What we're going to do here is hold the rail jointers, just open it up a little bit with the front of the pliers, which will allow the rail to go in a lot easier also. And cut these rail jointers in half. They don't have to be this big. I'm going to use a Dremel to do this. The next step is going to be to open up the other side of that connector. When you open up the other side of the connector, a fine pair of needle nose pliers is very handy. Forcing one side of the needle nose plier into the connector is a good idea if you can. If you can't, to be able to grab the two wings there and just open them up. And then what I do is I bend that piece up at the end so that that'll hold the connector in a better position against the small rail. Here you can see me fitting the half pieces onto the heavy rail, the Code 100 rail. And since it's in place, I'm going to have to push that back in so that I can fit the switch in here shortly. Now one of the jointers is in and the other's in. Sorry, my hands are so big and getting in the way, but that's a fairly straightforward operation to see. Just here to let you know that there's a piece of the procedure happening. Now with all those rail jointers pushed all the way in, the switch will fit in nicely. The next step is going to be to push the rail jointers into the switch and hold the switch. And that should go fairly easily. It may take a little bit of adjustment to get them approximately lined up. The two rails lined up approximately right. It's going to take a little bit more to fix those rails into position. We'll use some weight. These happen to be some marble blocks. And all we're going to do is just line those two tracks up so that the tops are just as parallel as we can get them. And the two sides of the rails, the inner sides of the rails, line up as best as we can get those also. So it's the tops and the inner sides that have to line up. Okay, back again. lost power there. As you can see, we can do it the same way as before. We're adding chip quick flux, making sure the rails are lined up. That feels pretty good. So put some solder on that joint before it runs away. Okay, feels pretty good on top, a little bit of a scrape there. Two ways to fix that. One is to just warm it up. I found my fingers are about the easiest way to make sure that there's no inconsistencies, that it's just a smooth joint. I like that. And now the joint's set. I suppose the next thing I should do is show you what I do is smooth that off. And that's just to run a fairly cross file. The next step I use is a very fine diamond fingernail file. It had the name Revlon on the side. It's very handy. You can buy fine diamond files from Amazon and eBay also. They're very handy. After I'm done with that, I use a 400 grit emery paper to polish it. And I've heard after you polish it like that, to burnish it with a steel washer is a good idea. I don't do that step, but it certainly wouldn't hurt. After all the joints are done, what I'll do is come in with the same pair of needle nose pliers and just clamp down the rest of the unsoldered rail joiner so that it's flush. It's more for looks than anything, just to make it a little bit smaller. That joint is very firm and will pretty much stay forever. When those joints are painted and ballasted and the ties are under them, they pretty much disappear. They look pretty terrible right now, but a lot of that goes away with a little bit of paint. Burnishing with or polishing with a 400 grit emery paper helps just smooth that joint out. My finger is probably the best determiner of how well the wheels are going to like those joints. And that's pretty much it, aside for the testing. I use a voltometer just to make sure that the leads are all working correctly. Those are the finished products, the straightness of the ladder now, and we'll hope it works. Have a good.